Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is Thursday, April 16th. So it's day 16 of the Veda Challenge. Today I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I decided to do a Throwback Thursday video, and I'll try to do this every Thursday until I run out of stories. So it's just gonna be a little story time where we get to talk and I get to share with you guys some of the experiences I've had in the past and how those situations have helped me now. Today's topic is going to be knowing when to let go. It is easier said than done. I'm going to tell you guys that first off. When you're in a relationship with somebody, period, just a regular basic relationship with somebody, and you are in love with somebody, it is the most difficult thing to do is to walk away. You know, you always want to believe that that person's going to do better, that that person's going to change, that that person's going to act different, that, you know, this isn't going to happen again. You're always making excuses for that person. So with me personally, now I feel like I noticed and I have realized that I always had an excuse for him. And the reason why I always had excuses for him was because I myself wasn't happy with myself. I wasn't confident. I felt like he was all I had. Being a plus size woman, being a fat girl, being a big girl, a thick girl, whatever you want to call it, I feel like there's more insecurities that we deal with, as in, you know, who's gonna love me if I let this person go? Who's gonna love me like they do? Nobody's gonna want me. Nobody's gonna want to, you know, date a fat girl. Nobody's gonna want me because I'm ugly. Like, those are the insecurities I had while I was with him that I didn't realize I had them until after I left him. And I know that's crazy because you would think, well, you should have known that, you know, you were going through these things then. And it's like, in the back of my mind, those were the thoughts I had, but I never put that out there because those were insecurities. So now I realize that, you know, I should have been gone a long time ago. And I guess I'm at the point in life where, even with my husband, when I first got with my husband, we dated for a very long time. And just because, for one, I was already hurt. I didn't want anything to do with my husband when we first got together. You know, he kept pursuing me and I was just like, no, I'm okay. Thank you. We went out on dates and stuff. We would go out to dinner, but I felt like that relationship tarnished me in the sense that I hated myself. I didn't like myself. I couldn't make him stay, so why would somebody else want me? And that was a mentality that I had then and there. And after I let this person go and I gave myself the chance to be happy again, I kind of ended up finding my way. And now I feel like I am a plus size woman, and I am very, very happy to be a plus size woman. I have rolls, my arms are big and chunky, you know, my thighs are huge, and that's okay. I am okay with that. I am not spending forever worrying about what the next person thinks. I am very happy with the person I am today. And I know some people are going to be like, well, if you're so happy, why are you trying to lose weight? And that is something I always get comments about, or I always get, like, people always want to make smart remarks about. The truth behind my fitness and my health, I'm not trying to get skinny. I don't want to be a skinny girl. I'm very happy being me, but I'm trying to get healthy. Me and my husband have been wanting to have a child for a while, and we want to be able to conceive naturally and do it for ourselves. So that is one of the reasons why I am, not that I owe anybody an explanation, but that's the reason why I'm trying to get healthy. That's the reason why I'm trying to lose weight, is to be able to be a healthy person for my family. Diabetes runs in my family. My grandma has it, my aunts have it, my mom has it. And I see how the diabetes is like breaking them down. So I don't want to live the same life they did. I want to live a healthier life. And If that means making healthier choices, losing a couple pounds, that is okay. I'm still going to be, I doubt I will ever be a skinny girl. I'm never in my life going to be a skinny girl, and I'm perfectly happy with that. But that is completely something different. So you see how I do this and I completely get off track? The whole point of this video is to tell you guys when I said enough was enough. So let's get into that. So I was with this person for a year and a half. I don't know if I already said this or not, but I was with this person for a year and a half. Everything was peaches and cream. When we first started dating, I was head over heels. There was this guy who back then I thought was like really, really hot guy who liked me and who brought me around his family and his friends and, you know, took me places, wasn't ashamed to have me out in public. Like, I was like head over heels for this person. So I fell in love with him. I was so in love with him. And I still, to this day, I still have love for him. I would never, like, even if I wasn't with my husband, ever consider getting back with him or anything like that. But I have love for him because I was in love with him, if that makes any sense. I wish him the best and I hope he's doing well. But, sidetracked again. Okay, let's get back to the point of this video. So, we were together for about a year and a half. The very last straw for me was, and I have not shared the story with anybody, was when we had been having problems like pretty much the week before the end came. So we would argue. I lived in Fresno and he lived like 3 hours away. So during this time, I already had been living with him. We lived together since we got together, pretty much. It was kind of like a really quick relationship. We were living together and we would go back and forth between my mom's house and then our apartment out there where we lived. And at this point, we were having so many problems that I came back to my mom's and he stayed out there. Now, the whole purpose of this was that we were going to work things out and we just needed a little bit of space from each other. The day I was supposed to come out there to visit him, he kept, you know, beating around the bush. Oh, he wasn't home. He wasn't going to be home. And then all of a sudden, okay, I'm going to be there. Call me when you get into town. We're going to talk. We're going to work it out. Okay. So I remember I got out of my mom. I was at my mom's house at the time. I remember I was like, I need to talk to him. I need to make things right. Again, this is my mind then telling me that, you know, he's the only person for me and I need to fix this because nobody else is going to want me. I remember my mom telling me no, not to go out there, you know, to just let it, you know, it's going to be okay, you know, just talk it over on the phone and whatever. And I remember I wrote my mom a letter telling her that I haven't shared this story with anybody except for my immediate family. So it might be a long one. So I remember writing her a letter and telling her, you know, Mom, I love you, but I have to do this for me. I need to work things out with him. I know that you don't want me to go, but I have to do this for myself. And I just wrote her a long letter. And I remember I gave it to my sister. And I told my sister, I go, don't give it to her until I'm gone, like a good few hours away. And then, so she gave her the letter, and I remember my phone was like dying, or I didn't have my phone on me. I don't remember what the case was about the phone, but the phone was like very limited. So I remember I drove out there. No, I had my phone, and I was texting him, and I would try to call him and tell him, you know, I'm on my way. And then he'd be like, okay, I'll see you when you get here. And then when I would get closer, he's like, oh, well, I'm not even home. I'm out with my friends. And then he would call me and he'd be like, where are you at? And then I'd tell him and he'd be like, well, why are you coming out here? I'm with my friends. And I'm like, we discussed this. We were going to get together and talk about this. And he was like, I don't know. We were just kind of going back and forth. Like 1 second he was like, okay, I'll be there. The other second he'd be like, no, don't come out here. I don't want to see you. He was just mean. But I was already on my way out there. So I remember I got out there. It was pretty late already. And I called him and he wouldn't come. He was not at the apartment. I didn't have a key. I don't know, like now thinking, why the hell, if I lived with this guy for a year, Why didn't I ever have a copy of the house key? Why? I don't know, but I just never did. And it's crazy to think about it now, but I'm like, what the hell? Like, I never even asked, like, oh, can I get a copy of the key? Like, I don't know. It's just stupid. But anyways, so I remember I got out there. I didn't have a key to get into the apartment. I was so pissed. And then my phone ended up dying. And I was calling him. I would go to the payphone and call him and call him. I'm like, if you don't come over here, I'm going to break the windows to your house. Like, I was livid. Like, I was upset. And then he's like, well, I don't care. I'm not coming. You're just going to have to stay outside because I'm not coming. You better not break the windows. I'm going to call the cops. And I'm just like, I'm like 20 years old, 21. I am like crying and upset. And he's like, well, I'll come later and you just got to wait outside until you come. And I'm like, well, I'm waiting here. You need to get over here because, like, what the hell? Like, you're supposed to be here. So long story short, we went on all night. I remember sitting outside of his house outside of the apartment and in my car and like waiting for him to come, and he never showed up. My phone ended up dying. I remember there's like in the back of the apartments, we all had stalls. So the stalls kind of went into the apartment. So like there was an apartment over the apartment stall, the parking stall. I remember I parked in this parking stall and I was waiting for him to get there. It was now probably like midnight. He still hadn't shown up. And I just remember crying and my heart hurting so bad. I don't remember ever feeling so much pain in my heart. Like, how can you make somebody feel the way he made me feel? It was the worst pain in the world, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm crying, and all I remember thinking was, I just want to die. Like, God, just take me with you. I don't want to be here anymore. Like all I wanted to do was die that night. That's it. I didn't want to deal with it no more. I felt so like worthless. I kept thinking I wasn't even worth anything. And that night I cried and cried. I ended up sleeping in my car that night. And I just cried and cried and cried. And it was like one of the worst experiences I've ever had. And I remember just praying myself to sleep pretty much, and just asking God to like take me with him or to give me the strength. And, you know, I just prayed. I prayed all night. Come the morning, I remember waking up like as soon as the sun came up, and I sat there for like another 2-3 hours. And then I was just like, you know, whatever, you know, if it is what it is. So I ended up driving to his grandma's house. And I pull up to like the front of his grandma's house, and I get down and I go and I knock on her door, and then she comes out and she hugs me. And then I just start crying again. And then she starts yelling at me, and she's like, where were you? Your mom's been calling all day and she's been calling all night. You know, she wants to know if you're okay. You need to call her. And then, so she just like hugged me. She was the most sweetest person. She still is the most sweetest person. His family is honestly some of the most sweetest people I've ever met. And they were so caring. I remember I went in and we went into the kitchen and I sat down, and she's like, are you hungry? Did you eat anything yet? You know, are you okay? And then I ended up calling my mom, and I remember my mom just bawling on the phone. She was just crying and telling me, you know, why did you do that? You know, something could have happened to you. And that just made me feel even shittier than I was already feeling. So I remember just crying on the phone, and she's like, I'm gonna go get you. And then I would tell her like, no, I need to work it out. And she's like, no, you don't deserve that. You know, she was being my mom. She was taking care of me and, you know, trying to tell me that I deserve better. And at that point in time, I didn't feel like I did deserve better. I didn't feel like I did need somebody, or, you know, anybody else would want me, because she'd tell me, you know, you're going to find somebody who's going to love you for you and who's not going to treat you like this. And she was just being my mom. She was being very supportive. So at the end of that conversation, she's like, well, we're just going to go out there and we're going to get you. We're going to get all your stuff and you're coming back home. And at that point I was just like, okay, just do it, you know. I remember she got in the car. She was like, we'll be there in a couple hours. I was like, okay. So her, my stepdad, and my sister all drove down to where I was staying, or up to where I was staying, and they got there a couple hours later. But while we're still waiting for them to get there, I was still at his grandma's house. He hadn't called. He hadn't said where he was at. Nobody like knew anything of where he would have been or why he didn't go home. And I remember his aunt's a really Christian woman. And I remember she came to me, like, after I finished talking to my mom, she came and she hugged me, and then she started telling me, she's like, I don't care if that's my nephew. I don't care, you know, if he was my son. No man is supposed to put a woman through what he put you through last night. She's like, you know, if he would have been man enough, he would have came home and at least let you in, and he could have taken off. But he didn't even have the balls to do that. Of course, she said it a lot nicer. But so she was just telling me, you know, you don't deserve that. You can do better. And she's like, I know that's my nephew, and his grandma was even telling me the same thing. I know that's my grandson, but you deserve better, and you shouldn't be putting yourself through this situation. So I remember just like listening to them, and this is his own family telling me that, you know, to leave him alone, and that I don't remember if it was his aunt or his grandma. They're like, he's gonna realize that he has a good thing with you, and when he does, it's gonna be too late. But that's on him. You need to let him figure it out. So I remember just at this point I was still bawling my eyes out and feeling even worse than what I was feeling the night before, because now I'm sitting here at his family's house feeling pathetic, feeling shitty, feeling like crap. It was just a horrible experience. And then I remember his aunt, like, she gave me a big hug, and then she's like, well, can I pray for you? Can we pray? And then I was just like, yeah, let's pray. So I remember she started to pray for me and for my situation. And I don't know, something at that point in time, like something in that prayer, like, I can't even describe it. It kind of like sparked that it's time for you to go. Like, that is enough. Like, you're not going to go through this again. So I can't even express how that moment made me feel, but my heart felt a lot better at that point in time. I remember just flashing forward after that, a couple hours passed. My mom ended up getting there. His mom ended up coming over, and she was like, okay, I'll help you pack. So I remember getting to the house, and I'm starting to pack. At this point, I'm packing all my stuff up. And then my mom and my stepdad get there. My mom is pissed. She gives me a hug, and she doesn't want anything to do with my ex at this point in time. So I remember my ex pulls up like 2 hours after into us packing, and I remember we're packing, and I nearly have everything out of the apartment already. All my stuff is good to go. I was just like, I remember he kind of like came in. He would not make eye contact with me. He would not look at me. And so I'm looking everywhere else. I'm just trying to like remember exactly what happened. Okay, so sorry. But anyways, I remember he came in. He wouldn't look at me at first. He kind of just like looked down, and I remember he went straight to the room. He kind of looked around, and he noticed that my shit was gone. And I don't know if that kind of like sank in for him that I was leaving, but I just remember like whatever, just getting my stuff in the car, and then my mom being like, okay, do you have everything? And I was just like, yeah, it looks like I have everything. And he comes up to me and he's like, well, can we talk real quick? And I'm just like I didn't want to talk to him, but again, my insecurity snuck in, and I was just like, okay, let's go talk. So I remember going to talk to him, and we went like maybe a house down or a couple complexes down, and he's like, let's work this out. Let's make it work. You know, things are gonna be better. Things are gonna change. And I was just kind of like, whatever. I was just like, whatever, like, okay, we can try. And again, I was so in love with this person, which is one of the reasons why I kept giving him chances. And it's kind of like, as I was driving home, I just remember like thinking to myself, like for what? Like, why are we gonna keep trying? Like, I still cared and I still loved him so much. But on the drive home, especially when you're driving by yourself and you're just thinking, like, it's kind of like, for me, when I drive out and I go places far away and it's just me on the road, it's the time that I take to think and like kind of reflect on what's going on. So that's kind of what I was doing. And it was just kind of like I knew that was it. And I knew that, things weren't going to get any better than this. This was the last straw. This was it. We did talk on the phone back and forth for a good while after that. I remember once I got home, maybe a couple days later, I ended up talking to my dad, and at this time he was living in Texas. So I remember talking to him, and I don't know how or why or how it came up, but I ended up bawling on the phone with him, and he ended up telling me the same thing my mom told me, you can do better. Don't worry about him. Just focus on you, get your life together and whatnot. And then he kind of snuck in there, oh, well, why don't you just come to Texas? And why don't you just try to, start over out here? And if you don't even have to come and stay here. You can just come for a couple months and just get your mind off of him and focus on you. And then you can go back once you're ready. So I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So I remember he was like, okay, I'm going to get you your ticket. You're going to come out here and you can just come out here for a couple months just to, get your things together. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. So I ended up he ended up getting me a ticket to go to Texas. And throughout this whole time, now I was set to leave March of that year, March 5th, I believe, was the day I was leaving to Texas. And the time before, from the time that I left, that I moved my stuff out of his apartment to March 5th, I don't exactly remember what day it was that we kind of were going back and forth, that I moved out of this apartment. But through that whole period of time, I was still going back and forth with this guy. And that was because of all my insecurities, because I thought and felt he was the only person that was going to ever love me. He was the only person that was going to ever want me. That nobody else was going to want me. Nobody else was going to love me. There was no way in hell I was going to ever find another person who cared about me, who put me first, who loved me, who, showed me off in front of his friends and family. That was never going to happen for me again. And that's why I kept going back and forth with him and why I kept trying to work things out. And I remember just till the very last day I was in California, I ended up seeing him, I think like 2 days before I moved. And he would sit there and tell me, you're just going to go and, just get your stuff together and then you're going to come back. You're going to come back and we're going to be together and we're going to work things out and things are going to be better. And, you're going to go to school and I'm going to go to school. And, he was just painting me the perfect picture pretty much. And I believed it. And I kept telling myself, yep, that's going to happen. We're going to get there. But after I moved to Texas, it just got really, really different. I could tell that, he was already talking to other females. So at that point, I still cared for him, but I was pretty much over and done with him. I figured things were never going to be the same. And it took me getting out of state. I had to leave the state in order to focus on myself, in order to love myself, in order to be better with myself. And when I moved to Texas, I actually started getting into church more. I started praying more, and out there it was just me and my dad and my stepmom and my sister. I had no friends out there. I didn't know anybody. And it was just kind of like a fresh start, a blank page, a new chapter. And it was one of the best decisions I have ever made in my life. I can honestly tell you guys, if I wouldn't have moved to Texas, if I wouldn't have gone and, been in church and, prayed and, got myself out there, well, out there as in to Texas, I can almost guarantee you guys I would still be going back and forth with this person to this very day. And the reason why I say this is because even till the day I got married, the whole week before I got married, this particular person would always contact me, send me messages, tell me not to get married, you know, and it's kind of like, you know, when does he stop? When does he ever stop? To this very day, I have been married with my husband almost going on 3 years. To this very day, he occasionally like tries to contact me on social media or on my phone, or he'll have like his mom try to contact me. But I've gotten to the point where I don't hate him. I don't wish any harm upon him. I don't, you know, I just wish he's happy, because I know since we've broken up, he's gone through a lot with his new baby mama, and it's just kind of like, in some senses, you're kind of like, see, that's karma. You know, you get that sense of like, that's what you get for doing what you did to me. But at the same time, I don't even feel like that, because it's kind of like, you know, I hope you do good. I hope you find somebody who loves you, and I hope you get into a relationship that, you know, I'm in. I hope you have the same relationship that I have with my husband someday. It's just that simple. But yeah, that was one of the hardest experiences I've ever been through. And I know that time, that day of me being locked out of the apartment was the day that I realized this isn't going anywhere, and, you know, you gotta let him be your past now. Again, this video is just sharing my story and sharing my experiences, letting you guys know that, you know, shit happens, and, you know, we all experience something different, and you might not have experienced something as intense as I did, or maybe you experienced something more intense than I did. And you know, we all have different stories, we all have different chapters in our lives, but as long as we learn from them and we move on from them, you know, we move forward and we're stronger because of those emotions or those situations. It's a great day. It's a good feeling. It's better. It's, you know, it's out with the old, in with the new kind of thing. I know this is a very, very long video. If you sat here and listened to me ramble on for dang near 30 minutes, thank you. I just wanted to let you guys know that whatever the case might be, again, me thinking now, I see that a lot of the reasons why I never walked away then was because of my insecurities. But know this, that doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter if you're 6 feet tall, you're 4 feet tall, you're 300 pounds, you're 110 pounds. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It completely doesn't matter. Your looks are on the outside, but who you are on the inside is what matters. And you will find somebody who is better for you. You will find somebody who will love you, who will appreciate you, who will put you first. Never, ever, ever forget that you are as important as the person you are with. Sometimes when we are in relationships, we tend to forget about us and focus on that person and focus on making sure that person still loves us, making sure that person is happy with the way we act towards them, or we look around them, or whatever the case might be. Just know that it does not matter what it is you look like. It doesn't matter at all. You will find somebody who will treat you better. You will find somebody who will love you, and you will find somebody who will be in your corner regardless. With my husband, we have known each other for about 5 years now. We've been married for almost 3. The process of us getting together was a long process. I put so many walls up after that past relationship that I honestly did not want to be in another relationship ever. I felt so insecure. I felt like I wasn't worthy of another relationship. And my husband worked really hard. He stayed so persistent. He never gave up. He, you know, gave me my space when I needed my space. He talked to me when I needed somebody to talk to. He just loved me no matter what. And it's something that I am absolutely positively blessed. I am so blessed to have that in my life right now. And I'm not saying this goes without saying that my relationship is far from perfect. You know, we do argue, we do bicker, we have misunderstandings, and sometimes we just kind of like want to be away from each other, and that's okay. You know, if you believe that there is a marriage that is perfect, you are incorrect. I'm telling you right now, because we all go through shit. We all go through shit, and we all have fights, and we all argue. And the reason for that is because we are two different people. We are two different individuals. And, you know, we aren't always going to think the same no matter what. But remember that what you know and what he knows is what makes you guys good together. So I am very blessed to be in the relationship I am now. And if it wouldn't have been for that situation where my ex did what he did to me, I probably would still be with him. And I can just thinking now, it's such a scary thought, because I would never ever ever want to be with anybody else other than my husband. But anyways, just know insecurities, we all have them, and we all go through things. And this is just me telling you guys my story on how I felt then and what I went through then with him. And I just hope this helps you guys get to know me a little bit better, for one. And two, to know that if you are going through a similar situation where you don't want to let go because you feel insecure, or because, you know, you think you're not good enough, know that you are. And know that, you know, God has the right person for you. And if shit's going on between the person you're with now, you know, it's okay to let it go. It's okay to let it go. And this might sound like dumb or crazy. And if you aren't a believer in God, I'm not saying I'm a Christian, a Catholic, or whatever. All I know is I believe in God, and I believe that He is the reason why I am standing where I am today. And He is the reason why I have the people that I have in my life today. And I'm grateful. I thank Him. And yeah, so let's just know I love you guys. Hugs to all you guys. If you guys are going through anything, know that with God, anything is possible, and you are worth it. You're beautiful. And if you guys ever need anybody to talk to, just holler in my comments, or leave me an email at fearlessfatgirl@gmail.com. Again, thank you for watching if you stuck around this whole time, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.